Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Sorry it's been a while. It's been a little busy here in the Castillo household. I started work again and my schedule is building up and it's taking a little bit more time for me to find a new rhythm, if you will. I'm at work and then on my days off I'm working on emails and all that stuff and follow-up emails. So it's taking me a minute to film this video, but it's okay. I'm back and I'm excited. So today's video is going to be more of a 6 things I wish I did differently, or not 6, but a few things that I wish I did differently when I became an aesthetic registered nurse. If you guys can learn from my mistakes, I think it's huge, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Few little housekeeping things before we dive into the video. My content calendar is on sale. Link it below or up here if YouTube lets me. So if you're starting out in this field, again, I've said it time and time again, invest in yourself, work on your resume. I have a way to help you guys out with that. Work on your social media, your content, because that is kind of like your digital resume, if you will. So I have a content calendar where whether you're a beginner, whether you have hundreds of images or 0 before and after images, I have a way for you guys to build and work on your social media in a more organized manner. It's unlike any other content calendar that I've found, because with my content calendar, I pretty much tell you what to post in your IG story and IG reels and in your IG feed for 30 days. And you can use it every single month with a bunch of different content. So if you guys wanna purchase it, I'll link the Etsy shop below. If you have purchased it, thank you for leaving a review. If you haven't left a review, leave me a review. I love you guys. Let's dive into this video. So I have a few tips for those of you who are starting out in this field. Fix my hair, it looks a little weird. There we go. So I have a few tips for those of you who are starting out in this field. Things that I wish I did differently when I started out, that I feel if someone had told me what I know now back then, it would have kickstarted my practice so much faster, and I would have been a more well-rounded injector had I known. So here we go. Tip number 1, I wish that I did not underdose Botox. So when I started out, I was very hesitant to do the full dosage. So if you're in this field, you know what the full dosage is. If you're a patient, listen to your provider when it comes to the full dosage, because when you underdose people, when you undercorrect them with Botox, especially let's say in the middle of the brows or around the eyes, the longevity isn't there. So your patients will be coming in every month, month and a half versus every 3 to 4 months, some people 4 to 5 months. If you dose them accordingly, you know, this stuff is cosmetic, but it also is medication. If you dose them accordingly, then chances are you're gonna get a solid treatment. They may feel stiff at 2 weeks, but it's gonna soften up by 3 weeks, and they're gonna get 3 to 4 months longevity out of it. So I think that speaks volumes. In the beginning, I would have a lot of patients coming back for Botox because they were like, oh, you know, it just didn't last as long. So part of that is dosing. So if you dose it correctly and then inject it correctly, then you're gonna have no problem. Your patients are gonna love you and they're gonna come back to you every 3 to 4 months. One area that I will say I don't really follow that rule is the forehead, because the forehead is typically, you dose it a little less so people can get that lift. And the important thing with the forehead area is you don't want to do too much, because then they can feel heavy and then they'll never come back to you. So do not underdose Botox. That is one of the things I wish I didn't do when I started off as an aesthetic registered nurse. Okay, so the next one is underdosing in general. So that means not only with Botox, but with filler or with chemical peels, underdosing, doing less than what the patient needs. This is truly a disservice to a patient, because the important thing is you want to educate the patient. Like, hey, for let's say cheeks or jawline, you need anywhere from 2 to 4 syringes, depending on your age, volume loss, etc. If you start off with 1 syringe, you guys think about it, that 1 syringe is only, what is it, 1/5 of a teaspoon? You take that, you split it in half between an area like the cheeks, they're not gonna see any difference, none. I did that in the beginning. I was so scared to inject more than 1 syringe in the cheeks. Now it's like 2, 3 syringes in each sitting, because that is what the patient needs for full correction. This is going to do 2 things for you. Number 1, when you dose correctly with filler, let's say, these patients are gonna only come to you once every year to 2 years, because you gave them such a full, well-rounded treatment. Number two, you're actually gonna see a difference for months and months to come. So let's say like your older patient, 40s, 50s and above, they are already starting to see more of the effects of volume loss. If you do one syringe on them, maybe even two syringes on them, they're gonna see no difference. And part of it is just having a conversation with them and telling them why they need more syringes. This holds true to jawline, chin, everywhere except for the lips, honestly. I won't do more than one syringe in the lips in a sitting. Temples, different things like that. They take multiple syringes, and in some cases, they take multiple treatments, so they can't do it all in one sitting. So I wish had I known that in the beginning, I would have dosed them accordingly and given them a more comprehensive plan, because then more of my patients would have come back to me, because they're gonna be like, wow, Janet did this and I see a difference, number one, and number two, it's lasting me quite a long time. And that's because I dosed it correctly. Another thing that this applies for is like skin treatments. So chemical peels or microneedling. Get into the habit of telling your patients that it is going to take anywhere from 2 to 3 of these treatments. One treatment is really more of like a maintenance dose. If someone has never done a chem peel before or never done microneedling before, and you're sitting there doing one a year, like that's gonna do nothing for their skin. It's gonna look great for a month or two, but it's not really gonna, help them in the long run. Also, when you're doing skin treatments, one thing I never did in the beginning as an aesthetic registered nurse is I never incorporated skincare. So get into the habit of incorporating a nice, strong skincare regimen for them after these treatments, because then they're going to be taking care of it at home. And again, your results are going to shine through and the patient is going to be so impressed. So get into the habit of recommending skincare products. If you guys are unfamiliar with skincare products, if you guys have an esthetician that you guys are close with, talk to them about it. I will also link a book below in my Amazon favorites about it's a skincare answer guide book. Pretty much any and every question that a patient will ask you, it answers it. So this is how I learned about skincare, and this is another way for you guys to learn about skincare. Another tip that I wish I knew as an aesthetic registered nurse, another thing that I wish I worked on and polished more earlier on in my career, was the consultation process. I have killed the consultation game now. I love consultations. I'm a very chatty person, but I've found a way to articulate a very effective consultation for a patient, all while answering all of their questions, but then bringing in my own expertise. So in the beginning, a patient would come in and they say, I want my lips done. And I would just talk about their lips and why it's a good idea for them. Now I have a more global approach during my consultation process. So I will tell them, great, perfect. Would you mind if I took a look at any other areas and gave you some of my, some professional opinion? And patients are, oh yes, they love it. Are you kidding me? And it's not about sitting there nitpicking every little thing. It's just about like, hey, I'm noticing this and I'm noticing this. And some of my patients, most of my patients nowadays, lips are the last thing that I do. I will treat every other area before I dive in and treat the lips. Some of them, we don't even end up treating the lips because they'll be like, wow, Janet, I thought I needed my lips, but when you treated my mid-face, I just felt better about myself. I don't really need the lips anymore. And that is beautiful. That's amazing. So if you are like me in the beginning and maybe your consultation process isn't as thorough, take my advice, work on the consultation process. Maybe I'll do a video for you guys about that. But work on the consultation process, and that way you'll have a more global approach to treating your patient, and you build a relationship with them, and then they trust you not to treat only what they want, but what your professional eye sees. Okay. Another tip that I wish I knew as an aesthetic registered nurse in the beginning of my career was don't only treat one area. So it's so much easier said than done, and it kind of ties into my previous tip about the consultation process. But in the beginning, if a patient would come to me and say, hey Janet, I want my lips, I'd go ahead and treat their lips. Hey Janet, I want my under eyes, I'd go ahead and treat their under eyes. Take my advice. Look at, again, the more global approach to the face. So for instance, if a patient comes in and says, hey Janet, I want to treat my under eyes, I say, okay, perfect. And I start talking to them about how the under eyes are best supported by the cheek area, and the cheek kind of blends into the temple. And we have this more global approach of treating the mid-face versus just focusing on the under eyes. This is going to do so many wonderful things for your patient. They're going to see so much more longevity with their treatment because you're building the supporting structures around the under eyes. But it's also going to give them such magnificent results because, again, you're building support around the under eyes and then treating the under eyes in a more complete fashion. And that's going to just shine through in your before and afters and what they see in the mirror. I have never had a patient where they come in and they just want under eyes. And when I recommend like, hey, you know, you have some flattening in the mid face, let's start with that and do the under eyes at the same time. I've never really had a patient say no to me. It's more like, okay, yes, I see that. Thank you for pointing that out. And then when I go ahead and I treat the area all together, they're in love with it. So take my advice. Don't only treat one area. Same goes for lips. Lips have so many other parts to it. Chin, lower face shadowing, even the cheeks a little bit, you know what I mean? So just take care of all of that. And again, this ties into a strong consultation. So focus on really mentioning these things during the consultation, and I promise you your patient will appreciate it. Okay, my last and final tip that I wish I knew as an aesthetic registered nurse in the beginning of my career, and this is a big one, and this might hit a soft spot for some of you, is I wish that I had, for certain patients, that I had dissolved at the initial visit. So when I started out, I was very, like anyone in any field, you're very reserved. You don't want to hurt people's feelings. So I started out, and lips are kind of where I took off. I became like a lip guru, lip injection guru. Like I treated, oh my God, probably like 20 plus lips a day. I'm not even joking with you. So I've treated probably thousands of lips in my entire career. And I can tell you the lips that I regret the most are the ones more so in the beginning of my career where I didn't bring up dissolving with the patient. And those patients, I'm so lucky, they followed me for over 5-6 years now. And every time I see them, I'm like, I can't bring up dissolving now because I never brought it up 5-6 years ago. So take my advice, you guys. If you feel a patient needs to be dissolved, under eyes, lips, anywhere, bring that up to them first. I promise you, they will value your expertise, and then you'll have a much more finished canvas to work with. Everything will look so much more polished, and just bring that up to them. Say, it's really hard for me to correct someone else's work. I would feel much more comfortable starting with a clean canvas. Would you allow me to dissolve your lips? And I would feel much better going forward with this treatment with you. And we can develop a plan to really bring out the best lips in you or the best under eye treatment for you. Most patients are okay with that, honestly. And if they're not, and that you really do strongly feel like, hey, their lips are kind of, you know, a train wreck, I don't know if my work is really gonna be its best, you can tell them, you know, I don't feel comfortable treating your lips prior to dissolving them, but if you'd like, I can recommend another injector to you. And I promise you, they will stay and they won't have you dissolve their lips and let you re-inject them, and they're going to be so much more happier with you because they trust you, and they're going to say, hey, Janet, or hey, so-and-so was really honest and upfront with me in the beginning. It may not have been what I wanted to hear, but I value her opinion, and she's really looking out for the best in me. I promise you guys, this will build such a strong foundation with these patients moving forward, because like I said, I have patients that have followed me to like 4 different cities over the past 5-6 years, and some of them are patients that I wish I dissolved in the beginning, and I love them, but every time I'm like, I wish I had dissolved them. I wish I had dissolved these lips, and it's almost awkward bringing it up now. I do bring it up now, but it's almost awkward. But I really wish someone had told me in the beginning how to have this awkward conversation versus waiting 5-6 years down the line to do it. All right, you guys, that's my video for today. It's short, it's to the point, but it's gonna be so effective in jumpstarting your career or advancing your career as an aesthetic registered nurse. If you guys want more of these little tips and tricks, let me know below. A few things, like I said, my content calendar is for sale. So if you guys want to purchase it, I love you guys and thank you. Here is the link right here. I'm going to link it down below. Resume help to really invest in yourself. Down below, I have a link for you guys to get. I think it's 10 or 20% off. I'll link it down below. My Amazon favorites with a bunch of injection technique books down below. Anything else you guys need, let me know. I'm still working on the outline for the video with our esthetician Aziel at the things we do, so hang tight for that. Also, trainings are coming up soon. If you guys haven't already, subscribe to my email list below. I can't wait to bring you guys trainings. It's something I've been wanting to do for quite a while. We have a training coming up with an office in about 2 weeks. We're gonna do everything lips for about 4 hours, and I can't wait, and I hope to do more and more trainings with you guys, and I'm excited. I can't wait. Beauty theory trainings are coming up in the fall, so subscribe if you guys want to be involved in that. You guys are always asking me what classes to take, and I'm excited to finally bring these classes to you guys. I love you guys so much. Comment below, like this video. If you guys haven't already, subscribed to my channel. I appreciate you guys so much. Until next time, I promise I'll try to bring out a video once a week if I can. Bye, you guys.